Folks, how you doing? How you feeling? Welcome to my YouTube channel called Shoe Fernie. Today I got an early bird special. We're early boys today, but I still got beef with this player because he talks shit about a city in my state. Today I got the Air Max 2 Charles Barkley in the 94 cut. Let's talk about it. So yeah, funny story on how I got these. I was out in my lunch. My office, my main job is right next to a mall. I was going there because I needed some compression sleeves for my legs. So I went to the Nike outlet store, clearance store, more so to speak, and I couldn't find anything. Then I went to Finish Line, and I was just browsing around, and I saw the Luka 2s, and I was this close, man. I was this close to purchasing the Luka 2 because I've always wanted some Luka shoes. He's one of my favorite players currently in the NBA. Of course, I'm a Mavs fan, so you know I gotta show my support. But then I kind of like said, all right, let me step back a little bit. Let me step back, go do my thing, get some lunch, and then come back. So as I was walking past Foot Locker, I actually saw this out of the corner of my eye, and I saw the Air Max Charles Barkley signature shoe right there, front and center. And I was like, I thought this shoe didn't come out for like at least a couple more days. I think this shoe doesn't come out till August 25th, which I mean, in essence, it is this Friday. It is in less than 2 days. But I was like, yo, let me cop this and make a little review, test them out a little bit, see if I want to keep them or not. Because I was still debating if I wanted this shoe. Once I saw it, I saw this is such a unique shoe that I gotta have it and I gotta review it. Right off the bat, it is a very striking shoe. It is a very nice colorway. I love black and white shoes. I love black, I love white, and purple, believe it or not, is one of my top favorite colors. First impressions, it is a very, of course, striking shoe. It reminds me a lot of the Air Max Griffies. They both use Nike Air Max technology here in the heel, as you can see it. And, you know, this also is very reminiscent to me of the Shacknosis from Reebok, mostly just because of the colorway, but still, it is a very striking shoe. You can see that this shoe, of course, has both leather here in the white parts of the upper, as well. It basically completely covered, sort of like it's kind of like a glove or like a netting of some sort of nubuck that just encompasses the whole of the leather, of the white leather. The nubuck is really nice. I'm pretty sure this is synthetic nubuck. I don't think it's anything premium, to be honest. As well as the leather. The leather is a little bit stiffer than I would prefer. I prefer, you know, leather that's a little bit softer to the touch that you see a lot in like Jordan 3. In the nubuck, you have this sort of netting inside. It kind of looks like a little bit of it's a sort of like a metallic netting, which I'm guessing is for ventilation. You also have some holes here in the toe box as well. That is also for ventilation. The actual tongue is this sort of like mesh fabric, this purple mesh fabric that feels really weird. It feels really layered. I will say that probably the most interesting and both also the most frustrating part of this shoe is definitely the sock liner. The sock liner is basically a sock in itself. Like inside of the shoe, it is much like the Air Griffey Max. It is basically a shoe within a shoe. It's a sock inside of the shoe. So it's very hard to put on. Like, oh my God. I had a lot of issues putting this shoe on, and I'll put up a video here so you can see just how complicated it was to get the shoe on. Which is probably my least favorite part of it. But I will say that once I had the shoe on, it definitely gripped my foot really well. It felt like really held in place. But regardless of that, it is a rather form-fitting shoe. If you're a wide footer, I would definitely recommend you go half a size up, just because of that part, just because of how tight it kind of feels. I mean, not so more tight, but more so very form-fitting. It really grasps your foot. Of course, here for the midsole, we have these sort of like shark teeth. They really like, they kind of remind me of like just dinosaur teeth. They look a little bit off-putting, I'm not gonna lie. But once you see like the totality of the shoe, it looks pretty cool, to be honest. In the heel, we have an encapsulated Air Max bubble. It looks really nice, really cool. I love Air Maxes. They're one of the more comfortable shoes. I love walking around in Air Maxes, everything from like the Air Max Vapor Plus, all the way to like Air Max 90s, Air Max 1s, Air Max Zeros, the prototypes. Air Max 97s are some of my favorite silhouettes, because essentially they are one of the most comfortable shoes, even for basketball shoes. There is just, I don't know, there's just something about Air Max that just feels very, very nice, comforting. I mean, it is basically you walking on bubble. It is a big bubble. It's a cloud. So it's really, really comfortable, I will say. Of course, I haven't walked extensively with this shoe, but I will say that it is a very comfortable shoe so far. It is rather stiff, so there's not a lot of bendability to it. It is very stiff. It kind of reminds me of boot. I'm sure they got inspiration from boots, hiking boots. So it's not very flexible, to be honest. Not a big deal. This is 94. They didn't have the technology they had for like performance basketball shoes. But again, this is more of a casual wear. I would never play basketball in this shoes at all. And that leads me to my next point as to why I wouldn't play basketball in this shoes. And that's, of course, the outsole. The outsole, it doesn't look like there's a lot of traction. It is, I mean, it is rather textured here in the top. I'm trying to see, like, understand what the pattern is. I can't quite understand it. I'm sure there's a story behind it. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of traction in here. Of course, I would have to really test that out. But if you compare it to, like, let's say, the Zoom Freak 5, the Zoom Freak 4, like, you can easily tell that this is early on in signature shoes, just because performance wasn't there. It's more so statement pieces. It was more so like, wow, that's a really cool looking shoe. Performance wasn't really up to par. Like, people still thought that you had to have high tops for that ankle support. If not, people kind of thought that low top shoes would basically break your ankles, make it easier for you to break your ankles, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, here we see it in this very stiff boot-like basketball shoe. But besides that, I mean, this definitely looks like a type of shoe I would take hiking. I'm not gonna lie, it looks like a hiking boot. A really nice looking shoe. I will say, as soon as I saw it over the top, it kind of gave me bowling shoe vibes a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but again, not a big deal when, what people are gonna be seeing is the profile of the shoe, or from the front, so not so much the top. But materials are they left a lot to be desired. But again, I don't expect this to be super high quality materials, but it is a very iconic, very cool shoe to have in your collection, to be honest. Now, I will recommend y'all wait for a discount, because I don't think the hype behind this shoe is kind of there yet, or I don't think it will ever be. They do drop on the sneakers app this Friday. Not entirely too sure that they'll sell out. They're probably going to sit around, but not as long as, for example, the Jordan 3 Palominos. These shoes will definitely sell out, just not, day of. At least I don't expect. But overall, really cool shoe, really nice shoe. I'm so happy I have it in the collection now. Well, folks, you let me know what you think of the Charles Barkley Nike Air Max 94. This is very reminiscent of the 90s, so I'm sure that it takes like a certain kind of look to really kind of pull this shoe off, much like the Air Griffey Maxes. In comparison to like Jordan brand shoes that came out in the 90s, Shaqnosis, Air Max Charles Barkley, the 94s, the Air Griffey Maxes, like those shoes really, really are representative of the 90s. Like they have a certain look to them, a certain just the silhouette, the bulkiness of it, that Jordan kind of doesn't necessarily had. He had Jordan 3s, 4s, 5s, 6, 7s, 5s and were a little bit bulkier, but they were a little bit more timeless, I would say. And I think that has to do also with the hype behind the Jordan brand that kind of never died down throughout the 2000s and 2010s. But these sort of shoes, the Charles Barkley Air Maxes, those are very reminiscent of the 90s, that I think you have to have a certain style to like really go for this sort of shoe. But yeah, you let me know what you think of this silhouette down in the comments below. But folks, I've been True Fernie. This has been Shoe Fernie. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, because believe it or not, every single bit helps. Links to my socials are down below. Please make sure to follow me on Threads, where I spend most of my waking hours talking about sneakers. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I upload more of these short form sneaker content specifically. So yeah, again, if you want more like quick unboxings, quick try-ons and whatnot, definitely check me out on Instagram and TikTok. But folks, once again, I've been True Fernie. Please take care of each other, but most importantly, take care of yourself and your 90s sneakers. I mean, they're probably going to keep on re-releasing them till the end of time. So I don't think, you know, these last came out, I think, in 2020. So you can take care of them, but the materials aren't like really that crazy. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right. Peace.